Have you experienced the worries and tears of life? Do you need healing for the heart? Welcome to lunch.
Oh my Lord, sing hallelujah, people. Oh my Lord, sing to the world. Follow the light, fight the good fight. God knows you're right to get on the righteous road.
Today we are meeting someone we've met in the past, an international speaker and author, a PR director turned pastor. Her ministry is focused on healing for the heart. Jo Naughton.
Hello.
Hello, it's such an honor to have you on the program.
Oh, it's a privilege to be here.
Thank you for stopping for lunch.
Not at all.
Pastor Jo, healed for life. Why do we need healing?
Well, I look forward to the day when I meet somebody who hasn't been hurt. We all go through ups and downs. We face difficulties, disappointments. We get let down. We get betrayed. But what do we normally do? We just dust ourselves down and carry on. And particularly if we love God, we'll say, well, I love God, it doesn't matter, I'm just going to carry on, I'll forget about it. But the truth is that we end up carrying all this sadness in our souls. A good example is disappointment. You know, the Bible says, and I love the way the Message puts it, unrelenting disappointment leaves you heart sick. And so often we have dreams, we have desires, we have hopes, and it all goes crashing down around us. And soon enough, we're just feeling a bit down, a bit discouraged. There's a bit of dryness in our life, and we don't know why. But you see, the way that I describe disappointment is like this. It's like rocks sitting in our souls, causing a heaviness. And we can never fulfill the full purposes of God while carrying those disappointments. You know, another example, betrayal. Find me someone who hasn't been betrayed. Even Jesus promised we would be. He said, brother will betray brother. A father shall betray son. In other words, betrayal is inevitable. You know, and very often what we end up doing is we say, you know what, I trust God, but I just don't trust people. But you see, God puts people in our lives as our destiny connectors. And the devil loves it when we develop trust issues. The devil loves it when we start to withdraw a bit, put up the barriers, try and keep people out, because he knows that he can separate us from our destiny. So in answer to your question, why do we need healing? 2 reasons that I'm going to mention. I could give you 5 or 6.
Sure.
The first is this. The Bible says in Proverbs chapter 4 and verse 24, it says, guard your heart, for it determines the course of your life. Your heart determines how your life will turn out. It's not who you know, it's not your education or your upbringing, it's your heart. And if we are carrying around hurts and pains and sadnesses and disappointments from the past, it will hinder the life that we can live. So that's the first reason. And the second reason, you know, I remember hearing Joyce Meyer say this. She said that in her view, 90% of people never fulfill their destiny, never fulfill their potential. And I agree with her. And you see, the second reason why we need to be healed is we all get hurt. But what we do is this. You see, 90% never fulfill their destiny, but most times we don't even really know why. We'll maybe say, yeah, it just feels like life's going round in cycles. I just feel a bit dry, I feel a bit down, but we don't know why. And the reason we don't know why is because of what Jeremiah says. The Bible says that the heart is deceitful above all things. Now, this is the interesting thing. I don't know whether it means that the heart's, because it says above all things, so is the heart's greatest capacity of all not to be loved, but to lie? because it says the heart is deceitful above all things. Or does it mean that the most deceitful thing in the whole world is the heart? I don't know. But what it does tell me is that our hearts lie to us. Because it's hard to admit, I feel really hurt and ashamed by that put down at work. That was really horrible. It made me feel so small. That's hard to admit. So our hearts lie to us. And instead they say, I'm fed up of this job. I want a new job. I want to move on. And so you see, the combination of our hearts determine the course of our lives, but our hearts lie to us. And they're really, why would the Bible say that I, the Lord, search the heart? Why would God need to search your heart if it was really easy to find everything? That's how complex the human heart is, that even the God of heaven and earth has to search to find out what's inside. So we all need healing. We've all gone through stuff. Our hurts affect our relationships. They affect our abilities to trust. They make us feel insecure. They make us worry what other people think. They make us get defensive. And all of those things will prevent us from fulfilling our potential. So I really believe, Healed for Life is a 2-day program. It takes people on a structural journey of dealing with all the different kinds of issues that hold us back. And I believe everyone should experience Healed for Life. Everyone should allow God to take them on this really deep healing journey. And I hear the same testimonies all the time. People come out the other side and said, I had no idea that I needed this. I only went because a friend said, you've got to go, it's amazing. And so I went. Or I only went because my wife booked me on. And yet I've come out the other side, blown away, feeling free, and ready to embrace my future.
Amen. So for our audience, can you give us 2 or 3 bullet points on how we can get healed?
Well, really, until you know you need healing, until you know what hurts you're still carrying, you're not going to be able to. So really, the only thing I would do there is point people towards resources. If you are in the UK or on the East Coast of America, come along to Healed for Life. Allow God to take you on a healing journey. You will be amazed at what God will do in just 2 days. And you can find all the details there on our website, jonaughton.com. Until we prioritise the issues of the heart, we are going to find that we are tripping over easily, we're struggling in relationships, we're wondering why we never get promoted, because these issues hold us back. So I encourage you, prioritise your heart, get hold of resources that are going to help you to go on your own healing journey.
Something must have sparked your passion for healing.
Without a doubt, in the year 2000, my husband and I lost our 2-year-old daughter. She, just before her 2nd birthday, she very suddenly died. She was running around the shopping mall on the Monday, and by Wednesday morning at 7:30 a.m, she was gone. Medical negligence contributed towards her death. She got a very severe form of meningitis that had no rash. And our lives were shattered. We went from this happy, perfect family, in ministry, pastoring, giving our everything to God, to complete and utter devastation. But God did in our hearts what is very rare. God healed both my husband and myself over a process of weeks and months. Supernatural encounter after supernatural encounter. God reached his hand into the depths of our hearts and pulled pain out. And out the other side of probably what was only a year, God had done the most deep work of healing in our lives. And then about 5 years after that, whilst I was in the heady heights of my career, pastoring, the church was growing, God then confronted me with the truth about my own identity. And I remember one day sitting, having lunch with a bunch of pastors. There were about 20 or 30 of us. And suddenly a woman across the room said to me something very painful, but very true at the time. She said, the problem with you, Jo, is that it's all about position. And I had a choice in that moment. I had to say, what are you on about? How dare you? I love God with all my heart. Or to allow the Spirit of truth to shine His light into my heart. And in front of, we're with that small group of pastors, but in a restaurant with about 200 people, I broke down. And for the first time in my life, I faced the truth. And my truth was this: take away my job title, take away my ministry, take away my family, husband, just Jo, I'm not enough. And God started to take me on a healing journey.
Amen.
And out the other side of those two major experiences in my life, the loss of our daughter, and then my own healing journey, which lasted about 2 years, out the other side of that came my books, a new ministry, and out of that was birthed Healed for Life. And as a result of my pain, my journey, we have now seen thousands of people across the world
Amen.
experience restoration and brand new start to life.
Amen. I was reading your blog on Stubborn, and it struck me how much is at stake whenever we miss God's leading in our lives.
Oh, it's so true, you know. And this is the thing. The more hurt we are, the more defensive we are. When people try and speak into our lives, we put up the barriers and the walls. Because when people say, I think you're wrong, we feel like they're saying, you're no good. And so we end up reacting and defending ourselves. And we can so easily make wrong decisions that affect the entire course of our lives. And so the more we allow God to heal our hearts, to tenderize our hearts, and to make sure that we have voices in our lives that we'll listen to, people who we're accountable to, the more we can be sure to stay on the straight and narrow of the purposes of God for our lives.
So while like Josiah, God was actually speaking to him through an unlikely means, an unlikely channel, and then he managed to miss it.
Yeah, King Josiah, he didn't like the fact that God was using an effective enemy king to speak into his life and to say, look, don't you get involved in this battle. You might not know the story, those of you who are watching. But this was an example of a man who was being given advice by somebody that he thought he knew more than. And that's the point. You know, we've got to be willing to listen to the voice of God, no matter who He decides to speak to us through.
Thank you so much, Pastor Jo.
My pleasure.
And thank you for watching. Have you been blessed by this broadcast? Don't forget to like, comment and share, and we shall see you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day.